What's going on, Chem 20s? This is Mr. Walton here. We have this equation here. This is Charles's law equation as a V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. What I would like you to do is I would like you to rearrange this equation every single time into something that looks a little bit more like Boyle's law. So what we want is we want an equation where two things are being multiplied by each other on the left-hand side and two things are multiplying each other on the right-hand side. We want to get rid of these denominators. The reason why that is denominators suck to try and solve for. If you're trying to rearrange this equation for T1 or for T2, then it can be difficult. For some people, that's a little bit tricky. So what I would like us to do is I would like us to get rid of the denominators. I'll show you how that's done, and then I'll show you the shortcut. So we want to get rid of our denominators. So let's get rid of T1. We don't want T1 in the bottom of this term on the left-hand side here. So we're going to multiply by T1 on the left-hand side. Now, whenever you multiply by something, it's kind of by default in the top of a fraction. So it's in the top, it cancels with the bottom, but whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. So I'm going to multiply that side by T1 as well. Okay, so T1 has effectively, by multiplying both sides by T1, we've canceled out T1 on the left-hand side, and it's been moved up to the top on the right-hand side. We're going to do the exact same thing, but for T2 now. So if we want to get rid of T2, we're going to multiply the right-hand side by T2, and we're going to multiply the left-hand side by T2. T2 and T2 cancel, and you essentially have that like T1 moved up here and T2 moved up here. So the new version of our equation is T2 times V1 equals V2 times T1. And this is the rearranged version that I would like us to use. You don't have to, but trust me, this is going to be way easier. So when you start off with V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2, immediately bring T1 up to that side and T2 up to that side, and things will be a lot easier because now we can solve for whatever we want just by dividing by something. If you want to solve for the initial volume, a question's asking you to find the original volume of a sample after you heated it or cooled it or whatever, then you can just divide by T2, and then everything becomes a little bit easier. So let the other chemistry teachers know if you have any questions about this, but we always want to try and move T1 up to the opposite side, move T2 up to the opposite side, and then it becomes a lot easier to be able to solve for. Okay, have fun.